Hi, my name is Dave, and you're watching the Short Vol Show live on YouTube. Welcome to the Short Vol Show. Enough of that. And we have another day of volatility in the markets. Yes, volatility is back, folks. And let's take a look at some of what happened overnight and what we've got coming into today. We did have some big numbers out at 8:30, and let's get into it here. Just a few minutes before the open as I join you now. And it appears, let's get this straightened out here. So stuff is down again this morning. The VIX up to 1835. So stuff really moving up higher now, and definitely vol in the market here, folks. Is this an opportunity? Of course. There's always opportunities when stuff is going on. Why is the market down? Well, I'll leave that to smarter people, but I did have somebody mention to me yesterday, or no, the day before yesterday, and I didn't really understand what he was talking about, so he kind of had to clarify for me. But basically, he was comparing the market 2 days ago to what had happened right before August of 2015 with the China situation affecting the markets in the United States. And this is, I'm going to pull up this tweet that he sent out. This is my buddy Matt Thompson, and he was showing, comparing yuan depreciation to 2015. And it's basically, it's been widely publicized recently that China has gone into a bear market, and he was reminding me that China quickly devaluating their currency is what led to the August 2015 SPX crash and VIX spike. Another thing that's been leading to, I believe, volatility in the markets has been the Dow breaking technical support, 200-day moving average. Now, as you know, I'm not really into technical analysis all that much, but this big support level is something that a lot of people are watching. And when a lot of people are watching the same thing and trading based on it, then it does have an effect on the market, whether I like technical analysis or not. If enough people are watching a certain thing, then it becomes relevant, and that certainly is what's happened in recent months with people talking about the 200-day moving average in the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the Russell 2000. Currently, we see the NASDAQ down 17, Dow down 92, Dow futures, and E-minis down 425, and we have VIX up to, as I said, 1835. So a real spike here. We're definitely above the average. Well, I don't know. It depends on how you view the average over time, but definitely moving higher than where we've been recently. Let's take a look at VIX Central. Now, when stuff is moving around like this, I can feel the opportunity in the air. There is opportunity here. Some stuff is down a lot. My MJ stocks that I like to talk about, pretty much all took a hit yesterday. Afria trading down to the 875 range. Canopy Growth down to $27. ACB 670. So there are scoop opportunities here for those. Also, Boson that I was always lamenting not having held on to when I owned it for $8. Now trading 51, but I think it got all the way up to like 69 if I'm not incorrect. Let's take a look here. So 67. Boson got up to 67, now down to 52 again. That might be a scoopable. It looks like there's some support around the $45 range here. Probably a scoopable stock at some point. But there is definite opportunity here, and you're going to hear the bell go off right now as we start the trading day. And there it is. And so increased volatility. You know, I definitely feel like this is a sale here, and I will, and this is definitely going to, it will return to lower levels at some point soon. But for the meantime, we are actually in backwardation now, which means that there is no real pressure to the downside for the VIX. So there we go. Actually, and you can see the spot above all futures now, and the first 2 months in backwardation, really small. I mean, it's basically flat. Everything's pretty flat. You could change that to narrow, and it looks obviously looks flatter like that. But stuff really spiked now, and we'll have to see where we go from here. Let's look at just the chart of the E-minis for a second here over the last while, and you can see this is over a few years. But if we back it up to like 180 days, you can see it really has moved lower in the last few days, and that's everybody's concern. If we look at the NASDAQ here, very similar looking chart. And we're back to the levels of May. So that's where we are. In UVXY, we are up to 1333 here, up 18 cents. And the VIX now is only up 13 cents. So giving back a little bit of its gains, but still the whole term structure is way out of whack from the spike yesterday, and it's going to take, even if the VIX stays here, you could see VIX futures go higher to converge with spot. The way the term structure is set up right now makes me believe that the spot will go lower, but if VIX stays here, as I said, the futures will curve up towards it. But we're definitely in a transitive stage when you look at the term structure. This is not a normal situation when you've got spot way above all the futures. Something has to give. Either the VIX goes way lower today, or the futures are going to start curving up towards the VIX. So trading environment here, there's money to be made on both sides of the trade. Be careful. Keep your wits about you and your stops tight, because this could run higher. I did put out a warning yesterday in the middle of the day saying, look, the indices are up and so is the VIX. So that's kind of a warning sign. And we did actually go higher in the VIX from there. I don't like to be like one of these people that's like, oh, I told you so, you should have listened, because there's so much noise on stock twits and everywhere. I don't claim that you should have listened to me. I'm not going to come on today and say, well, because I made a warning and I was correct, that you should like listen to me all the time, or that I don't think anybody should just take one other person's idea and make that their trading philosophy. You can listen to all this data that's coming at you, and it all affects you in a little, in some way or another, and you do with it what you will. But, I think it's ridiculous when you see people on stock twits and they say, well, you should have listened to me yesterday when I told you to short Apple or XYZ, because nobody does that. Nobody listens exactly. It just takes someone's word for something that's going to happen, especially with their money in the stock market. But the pattern that I saw yesterday that alerted me is is just that the VIX was up as well as the indices being up. Now, part of the reason for that was that the market had been up higher and was falling. It was falling. It was going lower at the time. It was still positive, but going lower. And indeed, the NASDAQ, when I alerted, was actually going into negative territory. So although the VIX is not related to the NASDAQ, people that are trading the futures and whatnot are affected by the NASDAQ going lower, and it's all connected in some way. Technically, the VIX is not connected to the NASDAQ, of course, but if you see the NASDAQ all of a sudden tanks 100 points, then it's going to have an effect on the VIX moving higher. So what I was concerned about yesterday was just the VIX being up with E-minis were up like 5 and the VIX was still up. Now that's a strange situation, and it was like a warning to me, and that's why I alerted on that particular thing. So we'll see what happens today. As I said yesterday, if we have realized volatility come in, thus if the markets don't move around that much, then the VIX will come in. Pretty much anything happening besides a bigger sell-off is going to make the VIX come in here. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. It has been a rough year for the short vol trade, indeed. But if you've got the bullets and the patience, then you can either get short or stay short here, and we will revert back into contango, and the VIX, UVXY will take out its all-time low at some point soon. I'm confident of that being of the $8 level. You just have to have some patience. If you are paying for decay, like if you're just long puts and are paying for decay, consider selling something against it to decrease that cost basis. You may want to roll stuff out a little bit. In the meantime, smart traders are scalping back and forth and bargain hunting now. Some of these stocks have gotten hit harder than others, and there's some bargains to be had out there in the trading world. Let's take a look at world news real quick here today and see what we got. I like to look at Drudge Report real quick. I know it's like Drudge Report has been for some people, but so we did lose one justice. Justice Kennedy did retire. It says ex-Fox News boss Bill Shine to become White House comms chief. I mean, Donald Trump really likes those Fox guys. Liberal meltdown over justice retirement. As you know, every time a justice retires, a new one is appointed, and generally this is in American politics is thought of one of the big important things about which party is in control at the time of an appointment of a justice, because that can really affect things down the road. And right now the court is thought to be sort of 5-4 in favor of the Republicans. So this will further tilt the court, I believe. Let's take a look at what they say here. Liberal meltdown over Justice Kennedy retirement. It's funny how some of these news stories, you can't read them because you don't have a membership, so it's frustrating. Even before Anthony Kennedy announced his retirement Wednesday, conservatives had been lobbying President Trump to nominate a Supreme Court justice who will avoid what they call judicial activism. On Wednesday, Trump signaled to conservatives that they would get what they wanted. The most important characteristic that a president is likely to be considering is their judicial philosophy, said Jamil Jaffer, who helped push through the confirmation of Trump's first Supreme Court pick, Neil Gorsuch, and founded the National Security Institute at Antonin Scalia Law School at George Mason University. Trump said the replacement process will begin immediately before quickly saying he would choose from his earlier list of 25 contenders that two conservative groups, the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation, helped develop. It will be somebody from that list. They will come from that list of 25 people. Brett Kavanaugh, a former law clerk for Kennedy who serves on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. District and was added to Trump's list in November, has been mentioned as the front-runner for a potential vacancy in recent weeks, according to one person familiar with the situation. Kavanaugh worked for President George W. Bush and is considered a strong contender that appeals to both Bush and Trump Republicans, though it took 3 years to confirm him to the appellate court. He also worked for Kenneth Starr, the special counsel who investigated President Bill Clinton's financial dealings and later his affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky. So the process just starting for a new judge. Supermarket chain to introduce driverless grocery deliveries. Venezuela's Maduro calls Pence poisonous viper. Trump-Putin summit set. A summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump will be held on July 16th in Helsinki. Kremlin foreign policy aide Yuri Ushakov said the summit would take place in a mutually convenient third country and that several more weeks were needed to prepare for it. So there you go. Helsinki on July 16th for the president and Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, to meet. Okay, so we have E-minis back in the red now. The VIX essentially unchanged, up a penny, but VIX futures up. And, you know, as I said before, you will see, with VIX unchanged, you will see futures to continue to rally because they are seeking to converge with the spot price. So if the most likely thing, as far as I think, is that VIX will go lower from here, but if VIX stays here, futures will curve up towards the VIX. We'll wait and see what happens today. Good luck to everybody trading, and hang in there if you're a short vol person, because stuff will revert at some point. It's just a matter of a little patience. And for those of you who are long TVX or UVXY and made some money yesterday, congrats. That's awesome. Please check out the Facebook page and Facebook groups. This show is sponsored by Guerrilla Trades. Links in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I will be away tomorrow, but may have a show on Saturday. So thanks again, and good luck trading.